Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Evolution Map interview. I'm Chloe, and our channel's intention is to bring all the different methodologies, modalities, and good teachers and good programs for consciousness elevation. And today we have the honor to have three guests here to talk about a new leadership type that's coming to China for the first time. It's called the nature leadership. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation. And we have the honor to have Yurong Genvi.
Hey.
Yeah, he's the founder and CEO of Nature Academy Learning Lab in Sweden. And he's also the executive coach and nature-based coach for 30 plus years. Thank you very much for coming here.
Thank you. Hey.
And we also have Alex Crawford, the founder and CEO, hi, of Human Face AB and program manager of the Swedish Institute. Thank you for coming here.
Thank you for having us.
We also have Alice Wong. She's a leadership coach and also eco-community practitioner. She's also the Pachamama Alliance facilitator. Thank you for coming here, Alice.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi. So today's topic is nature leadership. Actually, this is my first time hearing this name in China, because I've been working with a lot of different leadership programs in China for many years. And I've seen people using nature-related techniques in their workshops to develop their leadership. So that's very interesting that you're bringing this modality, this whole systematic modality to China. So I'm really, really eager to know more about this systematically, because right now we're in this era of from VUCA to BANI. So everything's changing so much. So could you please share with us, in your opinion, what are the most important qualities that our leaders need to develop in this special period of time in this whole human history?
Well, shall I start?
Yes, please.
Well, I mean, unpredictability is something we have to live with, even though we want to work against it. But everything is changing all the time. Our environment, but also, you know, the social fabric that we have created on the planet. So as a leader, we have to be very stable inside. We have to be aware of what's going on, but both within us, our inner nature, but also what's going on with the outer nature. And, and especially these times, we're also longing and looking for guidance to true nature. And I think it's something that is more needed now than ever, especially when we are so deeply connected on a global scale. So I think that's one of the main reasons.
So Alex, what's your opinion on this?
Yeah, I think being a leader in times of stability and in times of predictability requires one set of characteristics. But we have left those times. We've entered into another kind of time of multiple shifts in many areas. Then in that context, I think the toolbox for leadership, or the attitudes that leaders must develop, have much more to do with connection with themselves and connection with everything that is outside. So connection with self and connection with nature. An English systems thinker and biologist called Gregory Bateson once said that the major problems in the world today are the result of the difference between how nature works and how people think. Many leaders are very good at the people think side. They need to become better at understanding how nature works.
Yeah, I resonate so much with what you just said. And we have been adopting the Gregory calendar for many years. And before, we used to be an agricultural culture. So we're deeply connected with the nature. But now, as the Industrial Revolution goes and urbanization goes, we're out of touch. We're always wrapped in what we want, like human-centeredness. So I'm really curious why, Alice, you're so passionate to bring this leadership program to our country. So what's your opinion?
Yeah, just to add on what you said, back 2,000, 3,000 years ago, with the Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu once saying, the leadership is about compassion, it's about simplicity, and it's about never be leading in other things, just behind it, but not in front of it. My son was in Africa, Kenya, Alex, the same place where we were, 2019. We would see the lions there. When the lion eats once a week, he eats an animal, a zebra or a goat. He won't go hunting for the whole week or for 2 weeks, but human beings won't do that. We get enough money for this month, then we need more for my car, and not only for this car, but for an advanced car, not only for a small house, but for a big house, not for this power and bigger power. I think the greedy, never enough is our biggest issue for all the problems with human beings, because we never know when is enough. So nature tells us, when we connect with nature, we find what is enough. I think if we could go back to the inner peace, we should know where is enough. That's where Peter Drucker once said, the company, the enterprises is not doing more, but rather less. Know what not to do. So that's why.
So, Iran, is it possible for you to systematically introduce to us what exactly is nature leadership? We're so curious to know.
Yeah, first of all, I think it's we need to connect to the source code that we all carry, because through evolution we have developed all our possibilities to exist on this planet in the best way. So our ancestors has kind of brought forward the best tool that the coming generation will carry on with. So what is this basics and this base code? And it's of course the perception, to fine-tune all these possibilities we have through our senses, our perception, because that leads us to understand the world around us. If we smell, we can even smell on a subconscious level if there is somebody coming into a room with bad intentions, because the molecules in the air will be picked up, even though we can't really recognize the exact ones, and so forth. So this is how we have developed ourselves, and we really need to reconnect with our awareness to that possibilities as well, because that also gives us that kind of calm and maneuverability through life, also when it comes tough times on a personal level or organizational level, on a societal level, we will be useful for also in situation of threats. So that is the first thing, to reconnect to ourself and to the world around us through our senses, our perceptions. And from that position, we can continue to develop the awareness, the consciousness, as you're using as the common word, actually, because we will be more conscious about how we act and react in the world. And nature is the absolutely best teacher and the best classroom. There is also some kind of traps, mental traps, because we are connected to nature with every breath we take. We exchange all the time, every second with with the outer nature. But it's our emotional and spiritual, I will call, existential disconnect that is the worst part. So that is also something, when we can come home, quote, quote, to our real home again, which nature provides that kind of safe container for development, for grief, for happiness, for everything. So there will be a couple of steps to take to connect and reconnect to these different parts.
Great. So, Alex, what's your understanding of nature leadership, and how does it help leaders to make decisions?
Actually, I was hoping that Göran would tell one of his favorite stories about a leader. And so I will do it, acknowledging, of course, you, Göran, that a couple of decades ago, 3 decades ago, when you were leading a group in the Swedish mountains, and after having climbed up a hill, you saw the beautiful views, and you lied down in the grass and you looked at the view and you looked at the sky and you saw the clouds sailing by and the grass in your neck. And then next to you was a leader of a CEO of a big Swedish company, and he just said, I wish this was how I felt when I had to make important decisions. So that goes, I think, also to what you were talking about, Göran, about this reconnecting with something that is perfectly natural to us. So it is not adding competence or adding an awareness to the person that we already are, that has been formed by university and business school and career and leadership development and etc., etc. It's just finding within us at the very, very metabolic level that you were describing, Göran. It's finding that connection that will give you, I think, the boost and the confidence and the stability and the grounding and the connection that is what you need when you make important decisions.
Great. So, Göran, would you like to add in and give some more examples?
Well, that's thank you, Alexander. This is of course one of my best stories, because it was gave me the spark, actually, of the importance of this as a young mountain guide. When I was studying, I was working at this place in the mountains, and we had lots of leaders, and everybody was of course, because they were choosing that place as well, underlying the importance for retreat and reflect in nature. So that is something that we can use even in our cities. We don't have to go to a wilderness area or anything. It can be just to meditate in a park with a tree or something. So it's also to give tools that is possible to use in everyday life. So that's one part. The other part is actually also on a group setting. So if you go out and sit in the grass in a circle when the birds are singing and you get the smell from the flowers and the trees, and if you step into, for example, with this top executive team and really ask for honest opinions on tough tasks, it's much more, I will say, the setting will help, the natural setting will help to make the group safe for be honest and transparent what they are thinking. So as a leader, you also help to create a setting that makes your leadership much more useful and better and higher quality, and also creating kind of a culture within the company that to be honest and to create a climate where you really can deal with tough issues and questions. That is also part of the nature setting, and that's why we call it also learning lab, because it's also always a progress. It's nature is always on its move, and we have to follow nature. We have to flow with nature, and you have to create that kind of preparedness for adaptation, and to also to stay in the not knowing, to accept that there is things that we probably don't have the answer of, and no blame for that, because that's how life works. But if you create that, it's more easy to kind of get in touch with the creativity and the common wisdom within the organization. And that's also part of the leadership style, I would say. So with all these leadership and management tools, I think sometimes that is part that's missing. You know, that the leader's role is, of course, to create a culture where people can step into the unknown and to the unpredictable areas, especially with strategies and everything, where everything is changing. And also these dialogue processes, of course, where you really learn to listen to each other, and even perspectives that you probably don't want to listen to always in the boardroom.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We're so used to having meetings in meeting rooms and asking answers, getting answers from people, like a whole group of people using their collective wisdom, but it's all human-based. But nature has more wisdom in it, right? So I'm really curious, what are the scientific background that supports this methodology and theory? Could you please share more about that?
Well, actually, the first one that brought it to my awareness was Peter Senge and even Otto Scharmer, but especially Peter. I met him some year before I met Otto. And what that was, of course, in the United States, but at MIT, they had been testing different methods, and as you probably know, because what I can understand, you are gone through lots of these theories and tools, but already in the 5th discipline book, Peter Senge was talking about some of these example stories, not at least from Native American way of dealing with dialogues and leadership and all that. So what I've seen through over the years is more and more organizations, and also these business schools. And I was working myself for in faculty of Stockholm Business School and executive education, where we were using nature as the place for going deep with leadership and leaders. And of course, that is part of, with that kind of academia, you need to have a backbone of research and everything like that. So there is lots of that on the market as well. And some books and some theories are better than others. The worst part is, not worst, but there is a trap. And the trap is to see nature only as a setting for our own mindset. So what we are doing is we are shifting much more towards understanding or going with the flow of nature, the natural rhythm. And I mean, you have it more than anyone else with, I would say, Jing and the Taoistic way of looking at the world, and that cosmology that we as Westerners doesn't have so much of. And that is very close to many of, or mostly indigenous cultures as well, because by practice, don't fight nature, you will lose. So that's the way. How can we better go with the flow and learn to work with nature and the natural rhythm and the natural processes, and also understand our inner nature. And as I understood from your organization that you're running, that's very much about conscious development and conscious evolution. So I think there is a chance for a trap, but that is what we want to change, actually.
Yeah. So I'm also really curious. There are so many different types of leadership programs, and this question actually goes to all three of you, please. So what are the differences between nature leadership and other types of leadership? So for example, Theory U, it's a methodology for facilitation and group wisdom, but it's also a way to develop people's leadership. And actually, I've seen Otto Scharmer using some of the nature-related techniques in, like, for example, the workshop he facilitated in Wupen Academy. And other approaches like LMI leadership and adaptive leadership. There are so many kinds of different leadership types. And what are the differences between nature leadership and other types of leadership programs?
If I can just start with a short one there, I think it's the worldview. If you start with a worldview that is materialistic in a way, then you are you start on the wrong place, to be honest. So I was already 99 presented. We offered a core course in Stockholm, international core course with Peter and Otto, and that was the first time he was presenting the Theory U outside the US. And so we have met a couple of times, and of course it depends on from where you start, and if you have a ground base or another cosmology than the Western concepts of leadership. That is actually I would say, the difference. And I think that is also what the Bateson's family, Nora Bateson, this day, her father, Gregory Bateson, and her grandfather, that kind of understanding. So when it comes to Theory U, for example, when you do the retreat and reflect on the bottom of the U, you really have to do the deep dive. You can't only tip your toes in the water and then said, done that, been there, and go further with the same mindset as you started with, to be honest. Otto knows where I am, where I stand in this point. So, but this is the hard thing. And I think, for example, you have in your history or in your soil, you have so much of it already. It's just you have to dig it up again or make it
Exactly.
visible. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And if I can answer the question in a slightly more provocative way, I think that I quoted initially Gregory Bateson with the quote of the difference between how nature works and how humans think. I think many of these leadership models, if you walk into a bookstore and you go to the leadership department and there are the hundreds of books all presenting different models, I think almost all of them are variations on the theme of how people think. So how to lead. If you assume that people think in this way, this is how you lead. Or if you assume that people think in this way, this is the leadership program that works. But if you instead kind of remove that and look at it from another perspective, as Göran was saying, change your perspective, change the starting point of your approach, then it becomes much more a question of finding a way to understand better how nature works. A friend of ours, of Alice and me, who is he is an education professor and permaculture expert called Paul Clark. He likes to say how the question he asks himself when faced with any challenge, and it can be the challenge of leading a company with 10,000 co-workers, or it can be the challenge of any challenge. The question he asks is, what would nature do? How would nature rearrange itself to approach this problem? And I think we know that one way that nature would not do is to divide up the question into different parts, or have this vast all these alternative methods, and then say that, oh, for this situation it's this solution, and for this situation it's this solution. That's not really how nature works.
So adopting this holistic view is very important. And just like what Göran just said, our Chinese culture is so good at this, like 与道相合,万物为一. So everything is actually in unison. And we need to more resonate with the Tao, and everything need to be like, we need to take this inclusive point of view. And so this part, I really want to interview Alice. You have been doing this cross-culture type of practice for so many years. So what's your view of applying this methodology in your work? And according to your past experience, what kind of people are more interested, like attracted to this kind of methodology and workshop, and usually what can they get from this so that they're so into it and feel so worth it?
Thank you, Chloe. Before I go on, shall we ask Göran whether his time is okay to continue, or you want to leave?
Yeah, I need to go in 3 minutes. So
okay. So
okay. So maybe we can direct this question to Göran first, and we will continue.
To Göran first.
Yeah.
Well, I think there is a word I love in a way in English. It's common sense. We all have it in common. So it's about sense making. So what I think is the ones that there is an inner calling amongst the right people, that they are already there, they are on the move, because there is something that through our ancestry and through evolution and through our connection to life, I think that is the answer. So people that get connected to their hearts, of course, their mind, but the mind is sometimes is a little bit too loud, but especially to the spirit, or whatever we call it. I think, and especially when the future looks a little bit more cloudy than before, I think the ones that can see why they should show up for life, and to be not only protector for life, but also tending the land, and as our ancestors has done, and be co-partners with the life processes that we do, for example, in eco farms and all that, where we listen to the land. And that is kind of one of the basics as well that we provide in these courses, to really come in communion with life and the nature. So I'm looking forward to have a chance to meet you all in all different forms, and especially when I am, and now I am invited to China to come and visit and work with you guys.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much. So before you go, can we take a group photo?
Sure.
Sure.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for coming.
You so much. Looking forward to the results. I love this.
Yeah, looking forward.
Good energy.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe we should
And
invite Chloe to join us.
Yes,
To train. You should join
I was
us
thinking
there.
that. I was
Great,
thinking
great.
that,
Thank
yes.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Mm.
And
So
now,
let's continue. And let me pause a little bit.
But if you want talking about the cross culture, although I've been working in multinational for nearly 20 years, but my really cross culture experience started with nature. Because when back in 2015 or 2014, when I first heard about eco community, I was just wondering, that's another type of name for residential, for senior people retirement residential area. But then I heard from Christopher John that from the Hanwang Forum, the Sustainable Development Committee in Beijing, that actually it is about sustainable development. It's a new civilization way, because eco communities, you're living very much like our Chinese culture, living in harmony with nature and with people. And unexpectedly, we met international friends like Alex, like Bo Aikman, like Simon, like Yuran. I'm very amazing to see that they all share the same opinion. And really, the nature-based leadership is the first thing I experienced is in Finholm, Scotland, where we, when we have problems, we go to the field, we go to the trees, we find answer there. And even one time, there's one time when I was in Tarin, I was having a serious stomachache. Then I went to the tree, a very big tree beside the road, and sat there for 20 minutes, and I'm asked the tree, I said, help me. I was in pain. After 20 minutes meditation with the tree, he supports me and I'm well healed. So that's how amazing experience. Well, was I think it enhances my belief that it doesn't matter where you live, in China or in Western part or in America, it's all the same. We share the same sky, we share the same earth, and we share the same pain, and we are working together. So that makes me dedicated for the past 15 years. And I think in the future, I'm still going to do that. So that's why I want to invite all of you to experience the nature in Lijiang, because many times we go to Lijiang or to different places in the world just for tourism. But do we understand the mountains? Do we understand the Nasi people living there? Do we understand why are there? How come they stay there for such a long time? And they have their own characters, their own cultures. What is the reason for that? And why are they like that? We didn't know. So this time I specifically invited Yuran and Alex. I know they're very experienced in nature-based leadership, in sustainable development, but still, I want them to experience that together with us. It's an exploration and to feel the mountain, to feel the people, and to find the rules, the Tao in the nature, and then it comes back to you, enrich your lives. And then I don't like the word, actually, I don't like the word leadership, because everyone has his own lifestyle, his own inspiration, pursuit, her own dreams. Leadership is just a name for your own life. How do you create your life? We are from nature, and we learn from nature, and we live with nature. That's
leadership is just a name for this program. Actually, you go into this program and the essence is teaching you is the real connection with the nature as a human being. And after you get all the wisdom and energy and all the different miraculous techniques you can get from the nature, and then you can provide to more people, and hence you are a better leader. So Alice, you really spoke my heart about traveling to Lijiang or the beautiful sceneries. It's more like the urban people are more like when they go to beautiful places, it's just for taking beautiful pictures and maybe breathe some air, like fresh air that's rare in the city. But it's really hard for people to really get into connection with the local people and local culture. So I'm really curious, how are the workshops conducted? So I heard the programs are done in the nature, not in a classroom, right? So how are the workshops done, and what are the people are going to experience when they participate?
So we are going to, please go on. Alex, you go ahead.
Okay. Just to frame that, of course, I mean, even urban people go out into nature, as we were saying. You go as tourists, you go as to look at it. And even if you take a few steps further into nature, there are two ways in which we use the outdoors and nature for our own development. One is for sports or hiking. That tends sometimes to be a little performance-based and almost competitive. You know, you go trail running or you go climbing high mountains. And that feeds, of course, the competitive nature of leadership and leadership development, which is, I would say, unfortunately, often a very, very important component in, let's say, the view of leadership of the past 2 or 3 generations. Very much based on Anglo-Saxon, maybe American management and leadership thinking, that it's all about a race and it's coming to the top. And of course, nature is a good place to do that kind of thing. Then there is another aspect of nature, which is nature as classroom, that under the guidance of very good biologists, field biologists, you can learn so much, of course, about how a natural system works, but you can also, through that, gain an understanding about, well, what is a complex adaptive system? Because when you walk in a forest, you are walking inside a complex adaptive system that is constantly rearranging itself to cope with outside changes or threats. And in that system, everything is connected to everything else. And that is, from a cognitive point of view, that's a very good environment to learn about those things. But that is still very much mind-based. So what Göran and I and we are trying to propose is that we don't go in nature for performance, but we don't really go in nature for classroom either, because we go in nature for connection, and to just, again, unlearn a lot of what we have been taught and rediscover what, as we were talking about earlier, what is a very natural sense of connection. When you walk barefoot in the grass, or when you actually hug a tree, things happen in the body. Natural things happen. I'm not a scientist, so I don't know what to call it, but it's endorphins, it's hormones, it's actual changes in the metabolism. It's connections of wavelengths. It's things like that that happen. That's not something we talk about. That's not something, I mean, there are scientists exploring that, but in these kinds of settings, it's just opening up for the possibility of such things happening. So that's why in the workshops and in the programs, well, everything takes place in nature. There is no PowerPoints. There is no sitting in a classroom listening to someone talking. A lot of time is spent, we call it sensing. So it's actually exercising ourselves to feel the air on the skin and to listen to the leaves on the trees, or to listen to, maybe there's a bird singing, maybe there is a river flowing, maybe there's a waterfall. It's about the smells that are, again, perfectly natural. It's actually also about the taste, under the guidance of local people who know the place and know that that plant tastes very good. That plant there, now don't pick that, because that's not good for you. So finding that sense of connection. And then finally, and most importantly, of course, the eyesight and seeing what is there, and just exercising ourselves in the very, very natural way of being in a non-human environment, or an environment not built by humans. What's it like to focus to focus our eyes on something, and what's it like not to focus, to try to broaden our perspectives and exercise our sense of seeing at different levels. So that's something that that is an important part of the programs. In addition to that, this I think for many of our Chinese friends will not feel that different and new. For Western groups, this is quite new, that we introduce ways of contemplation and silence. We can call it meditation, we can call it mindfulness, we can call it many things, but it's just finding ways to, in nature, sit and be quiet and try to build that sense of connection to the world around us, and of course build connection to source, or to the Tao, or whatever we want to call it in different cultures. And that's something that is done in silence under the guidance of a workshop leader. And then finally, I'd add that importantly, the sharings between the group, talking about this, finding ways to put words on this. Again, my experience, I've been to China a number of times. My experience is that our Chinese friends are actually better at putting words on these kinds of things, putting words on feelings, on sensings. Westerners, especially Western men, are not used to, or have been told since university that you don't really talk about those things. So they're not very good at sharing. How did it feel like to hug that tree? What did you sense when you were listening to that waterfall? So that's something that's actually a very important part. Now, in a way, you could say that the three components I described, the observing and sensing, and the retreat and reflection, and then sharing and finding purpose and finding commitment to action. What is that? Well, that's actually the U-curve. That's actually the different parts of the U-curve. So in that sense, you could say that the workshops and the different sessions that we run are basically just traveling the U-curve.
Sounds really interesting. So Alice, is there anything you want to add?
Yeah, to add on us more specifically, the first day we will go to visit the mountain, worship the nature itself in Nasi, the local way. We have the curator from Lijiang Museum as a senior leader to help us to experience how they local people worship the mountain, worship the nature, waterfall, and then we will experience tea ceremony. So that's what Alex just said, open our senses of seeing, smelling, tasting, hearing, and then we will go a meditation walk in the forest, in the mountains. And then we will also experience Nasi local museum to show where their traditions are. How do they make food? How do they make fire? How do they make wine? And how do they work with each other? You could see the old traditional village of Nasi people. You just experience their lives. And then night we'll have fire dance, singing, in the nature. So we will experience the whole day, and then the second day, as we'll go to another place. We'll stay in Club Med this time, and the second day we'll be in a wild area to do meditations, seeing, feeling the seeds, and we will be handed by seeds and see how seeds are growing and how seeds as human beings grow. And then the third day, we'll go to the snow mountain.
Wow.
And we're not going to climb the mountain, but we'll go to a beautiful place, feeling the mountain, feeling the snow, feeling the nature. That's one of the best beautiful scenario there in Lijiang. We were going to stay with the Nasi group, and feeling the energy there and help us to transition our consciousness and our energy to a new level. Because all of us here, we know, we have a saying, people follows Earth. The biggest quality of Earth is virtue, is being just like water, you hold everything, and then like sky, like the Tao, follow the nature. So we were going to experience the whole cycle in our own experiences, and then through sharing and feeling, I'm sure this is very special experience. Even for me, I'm looking forward to that.
Sounds so attractive. Yeah, it seems like it's a total immersive type of learning, right? Experience-based learning.
Yeah.
Not theory and exercise
Yeah.
and then practice, and not that
No,
type.
no, no.
Mm.
I should also say that what we're doing in Lijiang is is an introductory workshop, an introductory session. What we have done, and especially what Göran has been doing for 20 years, is everything from the introductory, but then continuing in the much more advanced kinds of exercises and workshops. And they're typically, again, they take place in nature, but they often include time spent alone in nature, sometimes quite a lot of time, sometimes 2 days, 3 days, 7 days, maybe even 10 days, where you are on your own in a tent in nature, sometimes even fasting, and that becomes something that is much closer. It becomes less of a leadership development program and much more of a spiritual, just a spiritual practice that one does regularly. And Göran has friends, and I don't want to call them clients because that's the wrong word, but friends and students who come back, year after year, because that kind of an exercise, that kind of a setting, that kind of a practice is so essential to them as part of their leadership and as part of their lives. And in this sense, again, these kinds of practices are actually quite similar to the, let's call it, leadership development practices that many indigenous people around the world have been exercising for thousands of years, where the leaders of those communities, of those groups, are, as a natural part of their leadership, there is also an important component of self-development and spiritual development. Of course, in the West, we've been extremely good at putting all of that far outside of what is taught in business schools or what is practiced in corporations and organizations. That is something completely different, but that is changing now. There is a renewed interest in, so how can we become inspired by the practices, the leadership practices and the personal development practices of peoples that have been doing this for hundreds and even thousands of years? What does that tell us? And that is, in a way, a process that Göran and we are continuing to push. And this is where it's so exciting to bring these kinds of questions to China and to ask the question, so how does, let's call it, modern contemporary leadership practice, how does that meet traditional Chinese culture, philosophy, traditions, Tao Te Ching, and others? And to us, this, I think to all of us, this is a completely new arena that it's really, really exciting to step into. Whether or not the leaders that accept this will be the ones who will continue to lead big companies in a very competitive market with lots of people and deadlines and pressures, they might not find that these leadership development methods are really very good for those environments. But I think leaders who are working in other parts of society, not least leaders who are building communities in different places, maybe even eco-communities, they will resonate much more with this kind of thinking.
Yeah, I think for whom to come, I think I want to say, to answer Chloe's question, that is for the international community, this join this workshop, you are connecting to a larger, very large community of people who care about the Earth, the planet, for sustainable development throughout the world. So I'm very, very happy that I'm sure the people who care about the Earth care about themselves, their future generations, their kids, they would come.
Yeah,
And we're going
great.
to spread this to the world, not only in China. This is a pilot trip. We're going to do that in other parts of the world too.
Yeah, for example, if you want to continue this series of workshops, what are other places you're going to travel to in the future?
One thing is maybe in Stockholm. That's Joran's hometown. I think
Great.
that's definitely a place to choose, and maybe UK and where Paul locates, and maybe India, because I know Jean-Marie wants us to go there too. There's
Actually, on the programs in Stockholm, Stockholm is a beautiful city, and it's located very close to a big archipelago. So there are 10,000 islands, literally just 1 or 2 hours away from the city. What Joran does, and I've participated myself in one of those programs, is that you go out into the archipelago, and then you get your own island. You get to borrow an island for 3 days, and it's a small island.
Wow,
It's
that's
probably,
amazing.
you know, in some places, some of the islands are, you know, they're not bigger than a house or a garden, and you go by boat and you are left off on the island, and they say, bye-bye, we see you in 3 days, and you have everything with you. Of course, it's not far to the next island and etc. But the experience of being a guest on an island for 3 days was extremely powerful for me. This was like 15 years ago I did that. And that adds something. And then, of course, you can do the programs in the mountains, and you can do them in other parts, in other bioregions. So there is a wide offering of different kinds of programs.
Yeah, one of the key place. Sorry, Chloe, I want to add is Amazon. That's one of the key places. That's my
Oh my
dream
God.
at Amazon. I really want to do a program there.
Yeah.
Great. Wow, this is so interesting. So I realized that this is really an international community you're plugging into, right? So other than the workshops, you're also going to have a lot of different activities, community activities. For example, I know Joran is deeply involved in IDG, Inner Development Goal, which I'm also a hub organizer. Could you say more about it? Because we have a whole bunch of community members who are really into doing support work for sustainable development goals. And they're joining the IDG. And could you say more about how you're involved with IDG?
Yeah, so again, it's mainly Joran who's very deeply involved in that. So I will talk on his behalf. Joran was actually very instrumental in the creation of the IDGs. So the IDGs were created, in a way, the first birthplace of the IDGs was a foundation in Stockholm called the Ekskäret, the Oak Island Foundation. And in 2020, they began the process of thinking about and developing the IDGs. Joran is a board member of the Ekskäret and Oak Island Foundation and has been that for 10 years or so. So he was involved in most of the very early meetings, which then created the IDGs. Now, the IDGs, in one sense, they're another approach to talking about and thinking about the world and the leader and the person and what is needed. And as a natural part of that is the question of how should I, as a leader, connect with the world around me? And that's something that Göran brings into the growing IDG family. And there are ongoing explorations of the question of how to bring nature-based leadership or natural leadership in business into the IDG context. And I'm pretty sure that that's going to be a topic at some of the upcoming summits and gatherings and work inside the IDGs. And of course, the IDGs, many of the people, at least in the West, and I'm sure it's the same in China, that the IDG community is a group of highly qualified, experienced practitioners, professional coaches, leadership development, management, some of them with maybe a little more scientific background coming from psychology, others coming from an organizational background. And IDG has become this big tent where you can get together and meet other people who are working in the same general area that you are. And a dear friend of mine likes to say that when we look into groups like this, one of the, it's not a problem, one of the realities is this: people want to do their own thing, but they don't want to do it alone. So where are these groups where you can do what you are doing, find this community where you can tell the stories of what you've experienced, but also learn from others. And those we find are groups where it's very, very welcomed to bring in a few new ideas. So that's one of the reasons why natural leadership feels like a very logical, a very natural addition to the IDG thinking and the IDG world. So we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, great. I really like your metaphor, the tent. So I'm also a hub organizer of IDG. So I'm sure our audience, there are a lot of you. I'm sure whoever has been watching this video till this minute, you must be doing similar things like we do, but you're not alone. I'm sure a lot of people feel alone when you're working in this field, but there's actually a bigger and bigger Chinese community and international community forming. So welcome to join us if you're into any inner development related programs or work. Come and find me. I'm Chloe. I can connect you with all the people in China and international who work in this field. If you're into nature leadership, you can find Alice, and Alice will connect you with Alex, and Alice will connect you with Alex and Euron and the international community for whoever that wants to connect with the nature better and also connect with yourself better. So we're approaching the end of our interview today. So is there anything else you want to share with our audience and our future friends? So
I would just like to remind everybody that nature is very close to you. You don't have to go all the way to Lijiang or to somewhere else and travel afar to see it. You can probably very close to where you are, you can find a park and maybe there's a tree, so go out and hug that tree. Maybe at home you have a dog or a cat, and just sitting with a cat in your lap is also a connection to nature, to something more than human. And don't think so much about it. It's probably not by reading books or listening to videos that you make big steps in this area. It's really by just experiencing. So go and take a walk in the woods is my final word.
Great. That's what I'm gonna do after this interview. Alice?
What I'm trying to say is thank you for Chloe and Alex for taking your time doing this interview. And I guess the audiences must be very tired after such a long time watching the video, listening. It's natural that you take a rest. So please take a good rest. Pay attention to your breaths because that's where nature comes to you. Enjoy your day. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Okay,
Thank
thank you
you.
very much for
Thanks.
yeah. So thank you very much for watching our evolution map interview. And my name is Chloe. I will bring you more and more good teachers, good programs, good modalities around the world to help you better connect with the nature and with yourself. Until next time.
Thank you. See you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye.